Hello everyone, in this unit we are going to learn about the LM curve, its derivation and various properties. So, let us start with the first part of this unit, that is demand for money. A person holds his wealth as cash and other non money related resources. The choice of division of wealth into cash and different resources depend on the relative expenses and advantages of holding money versus different resources. The advantages of holding inactive cash are related with its property of liquidity. For example, it tends to be spent without any problems. The expenses of holding cash is the contrast between the interest rate on cash deposit and the interest or premium returns accessible from money related resources like securities or bonds. The demand for money, cash or money is the relationship between the amount of cash an individual needs to be hold and the variable that determine that amount of money or quantity of money. People demand for money for three motives, that are the transaction demand for money, precautionary demand for money and speculative demand for money. Let us understand each motive of demand for money in detail. First is the transaction demand for money. The cash is required to buy everyday labor and products like purchasing food or paying the lease and so forth. The transaction demand for cash or money is the cash that individuals hold to pay for products and services or administration which they expect to purchase. Anything that cash adjust is held in real money structure in the wallet or through financial records. Balance is the transaction demand for money or cash. The equation for transaction demand for money is MT is equal to F into F function of Y, where MT, that is transaction motive for demand for money, and F is a functional relationship and Y is a income. So, the transaction demand for money is a function of income which has direct or positive relationship. The second motive of demand for money is precautionary demand for money. As like the transaction motive for demand for money, people demand for money for this motives also. The cash or money may likewise be saved or kept in hand by contingencies. For example, having the assets accessible to pay to have the vehicle repair or home repair or to pay for a trip to a specialist doctor. The cash or money individual hold for contingency addresses their prudent interest for cash or money. The equation for this precaution demand for money is MP is equal to function of Y, where MP is nothing but precautionary motive for demand for money, F is functional relationship and Y is income. So, the precaution demand for money is also a function of income which has direct or positive relationship. If we combine the transaction and precaution demand for money, then this equation shows that both the motives demand for money is depend upon the level of income rather than rate of interest. That is why MT plus MP is equal to M1, which is a function of income. Now, the third motive for demand for money is speculative motive. People demand for money for this motive also, to take benefit of future prices. Money or cash balances held to hedging against the gamble of changes in the cost of monetary or financial resources are called speculative balances. Speculative demand for money or cash is determined by the rate of interest that can be bought in by holding cash or money as in the form of bonds. The market cost of the security and its yield, for example, the rate of returns, are inversely related. In holding bonds, there is a risk return trade off. Bonds are risky as their cost vary and fluctuate. The choice of holding wealth as a cash or bonds is taken subsequent to adjusting the additional interest rate that can be acquired by holding bond with the risk that bonds convey. The choice of holding wealth as a cash or bond is taken subsequent to adjust the additional interest rate that can be acquired by holding bonds with the risk that bonds convey. The equation for speculative demand for money is MS is a function of R, where MP speculative motive for demand for money, F is a functional relationship and I is a rate of interest. The speculative demand for money is a function of rate of interest which has inverse or negative relationship. Now, let us combine all three motives and understand total demand for money. People demand for money, transactions, precautions and speculative motives. If we express this is equation term, then it is like MT plus MP is equal to function of y equal to M1 and MS is equal to function of I is equal to M2. So, total demand for money is M1 plus M2 is equal to MD is equal to function of income and rate of interest. In this, higher income prompts demand for money for this large number of purposes. We make a distinction between money or cash held for various motives to comprehend what interest rate will affect for amount of money or cash demanded. There are different factors additionally like wealth, money income, level of prices and so forth which decide the amount of money or cash demanded. Before understanding the supply of money, we will discuss the relationship between rate of interest and demand for money. The amount of money or cash individuals hold for transactionary, precautionary and speculative motives or purposes shift with the interest rate that can be procured from elective and alternative resources like bonds. At the point when interest rate ascends or increase on the bonds, securities rise, it become expensive to hold cash in deposit. So, they hold less cash and money. At the point when interest ascends or increase on bonds, securities rise, it becomes expensive to hold cash in deposit. So, they hold less cash and money. At the point when interest rate decrease or falls, individuals and people hold more cash and money. Let us understand this with the subsequence of changes in variables and its impact on others. Increase in interest rate in current period leads to decrease in price of bonds in current period, then it leads to increase in price of bonds in future period, which leads to increase in expected profit in current period and this will leads to increase in demand for bonds in current period. This condition suggests individual purchase securities and bonds in current period and along these lines cash and money holding for speculative reasons diminishes. This shows that when rate of interest is high, M2 is low, that is negative relationship. Similarly, when rate of interest is low, M2 is high. This gives us the speculative demand for money function, that is M2 is equal to function of R, the quantity of cash or money families need to hold differ as indicated by their income and the interest rate. It should be noticed that the speculative demand for cash or money is every one of the more impacted by the progression in interest rate than the precautionary and transactionary demand for money. At the point when monetary and financial investor accept that the cost of securities and different resources will fall, their speculative demand for cash and money goes up. The speculative rationale urge people and firm to hold their wealth in cash until the decrease in risk by holding cash and money is inaccessible, adjusted by the expenses as far as interest rate given up for those cash adjust or balances. Bonds are risky as their cost changes very fastly. The speculative rationale urge peoples and firms to hold their wealth in cash until the decreases in risk by holding cash and money is impassable, adjusted by the expenses as far as interest rate goes up, given up for those cash adjust or balances. Bonds are risky as their cost changes very fastly. Rate of returns on securities and bonds is a significant determinant for choosing the division of wealth among cash or money and bonds. A fall in rate of return on securities and bonds, risk continuing as before, derives individual to hold bigger extent of wealth as cash as opposed to bonds. In increase in rate of returns for a given degree of risk will push more wealth towards bonds. Consequently, the speculative motive demand for money brings about an opposite connection between demand for cash or money and rate of interest. So, for example, in this figure which is demand for money, in this figure 1 the demand curve for money shows the amount of cash demanded at each rate of interest with income level stay fixed. It is downward sloping, showing the negative connection or relationship between the amount of money and cash demanded and the rate of interest. Now, let us understand the supply of money. The supply curve of money shows the relationship between the amount and quantity of cash provided and the market rate of interest. Any remaining determinants of supply unchanged. The level of supply and cash supply not entirely settled by the Central Monetary Authority, like for example, RBI in India or Federal Reserve System in the United States of America. It manages the supply of cash and money through its open market activity and reserve necessities. In this way, we expect the supply of cash to be exogenously given by the Central Monetary Authority like RBI, and it is irrelevant to the overall rate of interest on the market condition. Subsequently, the supply curve of money and cash is defined as a vertical line parallel to the y axis, which is given by the Central Monetary Authority like RBI. This is displayed in figure. The money and cash supply curve moves just when the Central Monetary Authority like RBI collect the supply of money through its monetary policy or money related strategy. In figure shows the supply curve of money is an upward line parallel to y axis at that amount of money supply determined by the Central Monetary Authority like RBI through the monetary policies. In this figure, supply of money is shown. Now, let us combine demand for money and supply of money for understanding the equilibrium in money market. Money market equilibrium connects demand and supply curve for money to bring equilibrium in the market for demand and supply of money. In the money market, the demand for money by people, individuals, firms and different organization is met by the amount of cash provided by the Central Monetary Authority like RBI. The market for money is in equilibrium assuming the amount of cash demand is equivalent to the amount of cash or money provided and supplied by Central Monetary Authority. Figure shows money market equilibrium. In this figure, money market equilibrium happens at the rate of interest at which the amount of money demanded is equal to the amount of cash and money provided by the Central Monetary Authority, that is RBI. The amount of real balances is M divided by P and the rate of interest or loan cost is R. Now, we can do the derivation of LM curve. The demand curve for money is shown to show the amount of money individuals will hold at each rate of interest. any remaining determinants of money demand staying unchanged. At adjustment of any of those, different determinants will shift the demand for money curve. Among the main factors that can move the demand for money are the level of income and the real gross domestic product, that is GDP, the price level, future expectations, transfer expenses and preferences. Assume that the market is at starting in equilibrium at R0 with the supply of money M by P and the demand for money or cash curve L0 as displayed in the panel A of figure. We can see in panel A of figure, the equilibrium in the money market in the economy is at point E0, where M by P is equal to L0 and interest rate is R0, and at the point of this level of income is Y0. In panel B, the point with respect to E0 is indicated as point A, where the rate of interest is R0 and level of income is at Y0. Because of expansion and rise in income of the people in the country from Y0 to Y1, the demand for real balances increase from L0 to L1. This rise and expansion demand prompts a rise in the rate of interest as the supply and quantity for money is held unchanged or constant. The rate of interest change causes the money market equilibrium to at the point of E1 again. At this new point of equilibrium at E1, the level of income is Y1. The point related to this in panel B is new equilibrium point B at rate of interest R1 and level of income Y1. If we connect or join the point A and B, then we get the LM curve. Hence, LM curve is the mix of rate of interest and income level at which the money market clears. All different points on the LM curve indicate the equilibrium in money market in the country. LM curve is positively sloped and shows the direct relationship between the rate of interest and level of income. So, as increase in the rate of interest will increase the level of income also in the country. Now, we will understand the shift in the LM curve. The shift in the LM curve can be rightward or leftward. So, let us understand first the rightward shift in LM curve. When we are talking about the money market equilibrium and the derivation of LM curve, the quantity of supply of cash and money is held steady or constant. For example, exogenously given by the Central Monetary Authority like RBI in India. Any adjustment of real supply of money will move and shift the LM curve. Assume the market for money is in equilibrium and the Central Monetary Authority like RBI changes the money and cash supply by increasing the nominal money balances, that is M. The effect of this adjustment and change of supply of cash and money is represented as a change in money supply curve to the right side or original money supply curve. Due to this, there will be corresponding changes and shift in the LM curve. The LM curve will be shift due to this to rightward side at decreasing rate of interest with the same level of income in the country. Contrary to this, if Central Monetary Authority decrease money supply in the economy, then there will be changes in money market and likewise in the shift in the LM curve. Now, let us understand the slope of LM curve. The LM curve positively and directly sloped. A rise or expansion in the rate of interest decreases the demand for real balances. To keep up with the demand for real balances equivalent to the fixed supply of money, the level of income increases. Thus, money market equilibrium indicate that an expansion in the rate of interest is bringing by an expansion and increase in the income level. the slope of LM curve. For example, LM curve steep or flat is depend on the two condition. First, responsiveness of demand for money or cash to level of income, that is K. The coefficient K in the demand for cash or money functions estimates the responsiveness of demand for cash to level of income. At the point when demand for money is extremely sensitive to level of income, for example, at the point when K is high, LM curve is steeper. Second, responsiveness of demand for money and cash to rate of interest, that is H. The steepness or evenness of LM curve is not entirely settled by the awareness of demand for cash to change in rate of interest. As the loan fee is the layer of holding cash, a higher rate will prompt less cash properly. On that off chance that the coefficient H is high, lower H suggests a steep LM curve, while a flat LM is because of the high worth of H. Nonetheless, the slope of LM curve not entirely determined and influenced by K and H. This infers that more noteworthy the responsiveness of the demand for cash to level of income as estimated by K, and lowers the sensitivity of the demand for cash to the rate of interest H, and the more steeper the LM curve will be. In conclusion, we can say that money market equilibrium is established where the demand for money is equivalent to the given supply of money by central monetary authority. LM curve is the blend of rate of interest and level of income at which the money market clear. Any change in the real supply of money will changes the position the LM curve. I hope this lecture is very fruitful to all of you. Thank you all.